In other news, a growing garden at Keehi Lagoon Memorial State Park is honoring those who risked their lives to save others during the 9/11 attacks. More than 200 volunteers planted 441 native species to commemorate the 441 first responders who lost their lives at Ground Zero. Volunteers from UH Manoa, Kapi'olani Community College, the DLNR, and other community groups say the beautification project aims to turn a day of tragedy into one of remembrance and unity.
What's important to me is students will always see bad things happening around, and service is a good way to put those anxieties or tough feelings to work, come together as a community and solve problems instead of just feeling hopeless.
Another 9/11 Service Day is set next week Saturday at Diamond Head State Monument from 9 a.m. to noon. Work will include more planting as well as removing invasive species.